Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
I'm the captain.
Well, I pressed so many things, I don't know what I pressed.
You multiplied your stomping.
You know what I need? 3 feet.
3 feet.
Then I could be
tripod.
3 feet. Tripod Rob.
3 feet, PO. The new Star Wars character. This is a long overdue video of an amplifier that Laney produced earlier this year. May even have been last year. I'm not even sure. In fact, if you're watching this in 2019, could have even been like 57 years ago.
Are we back in the pastly?
We're definitely in the past. So many of you guys will know Laney as an affordable amp manufacturer, British amp manufacturer. Perhaps for many years, or for a lot of its history, has sort of perhaps lived in the shadow of a certain black and gold famous amp brand from the UK. But it's interesting to look back at the history of Laney and think that they started really round about the same time as Marshall. These guys from Birmingham, as opposed to Marshall in London.
London?
And
Bletchley, innit?
well, that's where they are now, but obviously...
Oh, right, they started up, yeah, okay.
And, Lyndon Laney, you know, tweaking guitar amps, trying to do something to provide guitar players with the kind of sounds that they wanted in the 60s and the late 60s. And I guess his first big break was building the 100 watt, the original 100 watt kind of version of this that Tony Iommi used in all the old Sabbath
Could you
stuff.
imagine that? Making an amp for Tony Iommi?
I don't even know how big Sabbath would have been in 1968 or whenever it was that this kind of first came out. Would they have been huge?
I'm going to hazard a guess they were quite big.
Not, what, in 68 though? I think
I can't remember a time when Sabbath weren't big.
Well, presumably before they made any music.
Maybe.
But I know Lyndon was also working with Robert Plant and the band that he was in prior to the Zeppelin thing. But anyway, originally there was a 200 watt version of this, a 100 watt version of this, and a 60 watt version of this.
Right.
All valve, obviously, as they would have been in the day, all big heads, 4x12s, all that kind of stuff. And the 30 watt version was prototyped up, never put into actual production, and stolen, apparently. The single prototype they had was stolen from Lyndon Laney's kitchen when he was burgled back.
What was he cooking?
Yeah, eggs, apparently.
That's amazing.
On the back of his amplifier, I expect. And that was it. Never happened. And then, 50 odd years later, when I think again when they had this idea that they would do a reissue of the 100 watt one for Tony Iommi for the big, the Farewell Sabbath tour, he was like, you know what, I should really try and do that.
Find the thief and recapture my amplifier.
I don't think they ever found the thief. Can you imagine? So this was made and designed much more as an affordable or semi-affordable amplifier. So the big 100 watt one is all point to point, hand wired, the best of everything. The 30 watt one's been designed to use a printed circuit board, so still British made, still all valve, but much more economical to produce.
The first I heard about this amplifier is I have to talk about our text thread.
Yes.
So we have a text thread, which is myself...
What, you, me, Pete and Rabir?
Yeah.
It's bad.
We can never share this text thread with anyone else. It is probably some of the most absolutely obscene stuff you've ever read in your life. And it's just inappropriate.
It's bad banter.
It's bad banter is definitely the name of a video that we need to make at some point. And in this bad banter text thread that we got going on, Pete Honorio went, Rob, we've got this amazing app, you're going to love it. And I looked at it and I went, is he having a laugh? It looks like it's going to be rubbish. There's no effects loop. There's no, it looks like a vintage style amp that you'd need to drive really hard. It would be really clean and everything. We turned up, I plugged in this, which I've been loving to pieces recently, and it sounds like the 200 watt in a 30 watt. It takes reverb in the front like a good un, and then I put a little bit of Danish peat love in the front, and my God.
Yeah, it is a monster sounding amp. It's in an oversized 212 cabinet. So you've got Celestion greenbacks in here, the sort of the 25 watt greenbacks in here.
It's giving the speakers room to breathe, isn't it?
Yeah, and definitely I think when you oversize a speaker cabinet, you sort of accentuate the bass end a bit. We're running into the treble side of things, which is a little bit brighter than the bass side of things. We'll demo the different sounds you can get.
So probably you put your Strat in the fat end.
Might do, depends. Or you can jump the 2 channels as well if you want to get the sort of combination of both channels. It's really simple on the front here, you know, presence, bass, middle, treble and gain. We've got nothing really turned up beyond 4, have we? 4, 4, 3, 4, 2.
Can I also say, it's a really, really festive, it couldn't be any more festive looking LED. Look at that thing.
It's very Santa.
It looks like it belongs on a Christmas
Which
tree.
I think this video will come out in January as well, so I hope you guys all had a good Christmas. But
I hope you got everything you needed.
Assuming it's the new year.
Shall I do some Ghost Fret tones?
Do clean tones.
Yeah, I'll start with the clean tones for you. And
it's typical of that non-master volume head. So all we've got is a gain control.
there's no volume, it's just gain.
So all you've got when the gain is low is a massive high headroom, clean sounding amplifier. I guess hard to know when Lyndon would have been designing these back in the late 60s. I don't think he'd have had this concept of kind of copying necessarily a Marshall or a Fender or whatever, because back then amps were so tiny volumes made, you know, it's not, you wouldn't really have had a conscious thing of going, oh, he's selling loads of those, I'll copy one. I think it would very much have been any similarities to circuits are more coincidental than necessarily a copy. But what happens is as you turn the gain up, it's not so much that the amp becomes substantially louder, it's just the compression and the gain within the amp. It's got 3 12AX7 preamp tubes and 2 EL34 power amp tubes in here. I guess we should probably, all the gain sounds you heard from Rob at the beginning were coming from pedals, but we can see.
I mean, can we gun it? Is that all right? I gunned it earlier and it's really, really cool.
So we're going to take it up to 5 now on the gain.
Yeah. I'll turn the reverb pedal off.
Flipping out. It's got a lot of bass on it. It's so flipping loud.
Do all of the gain, man.
I'll take the bass down. It's very, very.
But put it all in.
All of it.
Put it all in, man.
God, this is hurting. Can you play some Sabbath? Do you want an SG to play Sabbath with?
Okay. Well, we haven't done the gain yet, but put it back to where it was.
My favourite tones are with pedals. But
right, so again, here's with the verb we had, and then here is with the Danish Pete. And then I got the
I tell you what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
What does that control do? Loads. Let's just take
touching
that down.
my Danish.
Yeah. What I thought we'd do as well, if you turn this side off and just engage the other side, that's a more traditional, old-fashioned boost. So now all the gain is coming really from the amplifier by just using a boost pedal, which back in the early days would have been typically how they got their amps to drive. So,
yeah.
But here we go. I mean,
We're going to need to wear earplugs.
It's ridiculously loud, but
That's loud.
it sounds fantastic.
But then, if you combine the Danish with the Angry Charlie, you get an incredible, almost like Whitesnake type lead. Put it on two. Put it on two. Tonality. If that isn't one of the best lead guitar tones I've ever heard, I'm not Robust McChapmanus.
It's crazy. Look,
let's
plug the SG in and play some Sabath. I'd like to hear, again, I think if we do crank this and use the boost side of the Dane, we'll get more of the type tone that Sabbath would have had in the early days. Can't cope anymore, Rob. Sorry, we're doing untold damage here,
mate.
Let me hear.
You got to tour more.
And I want to hear it in. I want to hear it into the
nothing
bass
happened.
side of things.
We didn't move the mics.
We might have moved them a bit.
We didn't move the mics.
So turn the distortion pedals off again, and let's just have it on the bass side of things and see if it's
okay.
Not so much that the treble side is less bassy, it's that the bass side is less trebly. I like it in the treble side.
Can we dime it?
Or jump it, apparently. Or diming it is apparently where everything's turned to 10, and jumping it is where you... So what's happening now is effectively the guitar's going into the treble input, and then it's coming out the other thing and going in the bass input as well. So it's like running both inputs simultaneously.
Okay, I've got a feeling this will be good. Strings.
Oh man.
Do a strat through it, Lee.
Yeah, it sounds monstrous. I'm going to plug, hang on, I've got this lead here to plug into
you can use your own
and then I've got some different
patio.
pedals and...
Lee's got his own patio. What's the clockwork? I'm curious
A delay.
to know for no particular reason whatsoever.
It's a delay pedal.
Is it right for you,
It's a
Lee?
lot less output. No, it's fine. I mean, it's loud, isn't it? So I've got some different distortion pedals. I've got a gain. I'll use a plimsoll or something.
It's like it sounds good with everything you put in it.
Is that not kind of what old amps generally do? You know, I know when we did the little thing down in the studio and there was a super old, was that an Ampeg or something? Or
No, it was
Sound
Tone
City.
Sound
A Sound City.
Tone City.
No, it's Sound City.
Sound City.
An old Sound City 50-watt head. And again, you could just almost chuck anything into it, your old favourite pedals or whatever, and it just had that massive, here we go, like I'm going to punch you in the face guitar tone.
It sounded great on your solo.
I don't have any criticism at all of this, other than I would absolutely buy it with an attenuator of some
My
sort.
criticism is that it is too cheap.
Well, yeah, it's British made, so it's not Chinese money, but it's about 800 quid for the head and about 600 quid for the cab.
If you had told me that was £1,000, I would have gone, of course it is.
Yeah, or maybe more. I mean, you know, some of the boutique American kind of stuff, or even boutique British stuff, where they just ham wire it rather than, you know, some of this stuff would be $2,000 or $3,000, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's super cool. And I've got to be honest with you, I grew up, I think, at a time where Laney was it's like Laney had found its niche in the market as just the affordable option.
Right.
You know, like it just wasn't cool.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I have memories of Laney from like the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, where it was just lots of solid state stuff.
Yeah,
lots
that's
of
what I
being
remember
cheap,
too.
and never anything really great. So I kind of, I don't really know that, you know, I like the fact that there is a history of Laney before that, where it was just, and they are obviously getting back
A guy
to that now.
cooking breakfast in his kitchen, someone stealing his amp.
And they just sound immense. So fair play to Lyndon Laney and his son James, who is obviously flying the flag now and has been for several years. It's great. What can we say?
Well, we can say I've been Rob Chapman.
Excellent. Well, I've been who? Sorry, who? The captain. Had to think about it.
Greetings.
Then. See you later. Oh, shot.